Romance of Sui and Tang Dynasties Chapter 40.
This is not a family trip on a houseboat.
No.
The core fleet, traveling from Luoyang, had 10 of these enormous head-numbered dragon boats. Those were just for the Emperor and Empress Shao.
Just the two of them in 10 giant boats. And the supporting cast was, well, it was gargantuan. Beyond those 10 flagships, the record cite 500. 500 second-number dragon boats.
And those were just for the consorts, the beauties, the court ladies?
Yeah, about 16 women per boat. So you do the math.
Yeah.
That's more than 8,000 people right there, and you haven't even counted the crew yet.
Exactly. And then you add thousands, literally thousands of other support vessels. They're carrying officials, guards, servants, all the provisions. We were talking about tens, maybe even hundreds of thousands of people.
All moving as one giant orchestrated mass down a narrow man-made waterway. I mean, managing that kind of movement requires what? Military precision? How do you stop it from turning into a chaotic bumper boat situation?
Well, the organization was frighteningly strict. The whole fleet operated under what the text just calls military law.
Okay.
Every single vessel had a number, a flag, a designated spot, and the rule was very specific. No allowing to lag behind or move ahead. This was all enforced just by sound.
I love that detail. The entire armada operated on basically two commands.
Just two.
A single drum sound means go, and a single gong means stop.
Yeah.
Can you just imagine that level of silence and regimentation on the water?
And that control wasn't just on the water, it extended to the riverbanks themselves. They had 10 generals. They were called rope protection officers.
Their whole job was just watching the ropes.
Their sole job was to patrol the shores and make sure everything was in order, because the engine of this whole massive fleet was physical labor.
Yes. Let's talk about that engine, because this is really where the whole aesthetic problem begins. These massive dragon boats were powered by the palace foot women.
1,000 young women. The text described them as around 16 or 17 years old, dressed in these exquisite Wu and Yu styles, and their job was to physically tow these enormous boats with these long, colorful cables.
So they weren't sailors. They were part of the scenery.
They were 100% part of the spectacle.
Pure visual theater.
Yeah.
I read they were even preceded by 1,000 led sheep. 100 per main boat. It just adds to this almost mythological quality of the procession. The entire point was a perfect picture.
But that picture, that spectacle, it broke down very quickly. The journey started in late March, and the weather just suddenly turned hot. The sun was beating down, and the text notes that these young women who were pulling these heavy, heavy cables, they just rapidly became breathless and started sweating profusely.
And this happened within, what, less than half a li?
Less than half a li. For context, a li is about half a kilometer. So they'd barely gone 250 meters before the heat just became too much.
So, okay, here's the key moment.
Yeah.
What was the emperor's reaction to seeing his workforce in distress?
He immediately stopped the entire voyage. But his concern, it was not for their welfare, not for their physical strain. His reaction was purely aesthetic.
He just didn't like how it looked.
He declared that panting, sweating women lacked any charm, and they were making the scene unpleasant to watch. They were, in his words, ruining his beautiful view.
That is just the ultimate act of imperial vanity, isn't it? Prioritizing a perfectly composed image over the physical reality of human effort.
Absolutely. Even Empress Shao pointed out how absurd it was. She said, look, they need both hands for the ropes. They can't possibly hold fans or umbrellas.
So what did she suggest?
She just suggested they wait for the cooler autumn weather.
A very politically savvy, but I'm guessing an entirely ignored suggestion.
Completely ignored. The emperor was not going to delay his pleasure cruise for 6 months. He was insistent.
Which means they needed a solution.
Right.
And fast. So the emperor calls in all his ministers, and he demands, and I quote, a marvelous method to provide shade. And he's explicit that this is for the spectacle, not for the workers' comfort.
So how do you solve that? A logistical problem of that scale in a matter of days.
Exactly.
This is where a Hanlin academician, a man named Yu Shiji, steps forward with an answer that basically redefines public works.
And his proposal was?
It was deceptively simple. Plant weeping willows along the entire length of the riverbanks.
That sounds simple, but it's actually brilliant because the benefits are layered, right?
Oh, absolutely. The immediate fix is the green shade. That solves the emperor's aesthetic problem right away. But the deeper benefit is that the willow roots would stabilize the new riverbanks, stopping them from collapsing.
And there was a third one. The leaves could feed the sheep.
The leaves could feed the 1,000 led sheep. 3 problems, 1 tree. It's an elegant solution.
But the challenge is still speed. I mean, they've got 1,000 miles of canal to cover, and the emperor wants to leave. Like, now.
And Yoshiji knew that. He knew that if he relied on the official bureaucracy, it would cause immediate paralysis. He said it would become a game of, you push me, I push you.
So he just went around the entire system.
He circumvented the whole thing with a market mechanism. He told the emperor, offer 1 full bolt of silk, a huge reward at the time, to any citizen who plants a single willow branch along the embankment.
1 bolt of silk. That's the great equalizer.
It is. Yoshiji predicted, pretty cynically, that the promise of wealth would make poor people greedy for profit and forgetful of toil. He basically guaranteed the entire job would be done in 5 or 6 days.
It's a perfect piece of administrative psychology.
It is.
So, how did the public respond to this incredible sudden offer?
The response was massive. It was immediate and it was utterly overwhelming. The texts say people rushed in day and night, disregarding everything else, just motivated by that heavy reward.
And they weren't just planting little saplings they found nearby.
No. They were bringing in willows from 30 to 50 lieues away. That's 25 kilometers. They were transplanting massive, heavy, full-grown trees that took multiple people just to carry. It was an instant regional frenzy.
A gold rush, but for trees.
A willow rush. And the emperor, of course, seizes this moment for a bit of royal propaganda.
Of course he does.
He declared he would personally plant a tree, drawing this analogy to King Wen of Zhou to suggest a state of, ruler and subject sharing joy.
Right, but the staging of this little ceremony is what makes the historical source so revealing.
It's fantastic.
The emperor approaches the sapling, implying he's going to plant it himself. But before his hands even get close, eunuchs just swarm in, they dig the hole, they plant the tree.
And the emperor's role, he merely touched the top of the newly planted sapling, and the act was declared complete.
Symbolic labor, a photo op, centuries before photography.
Exactly. And the common people, the ones actually doing the heavy lifting for the silk, they certainly noticed.
Oh, I bet they did.
The source material even captures a folk chant, a rumor that spread really quickly, and it perfectly laid out the hierarchy of the event.
What did it say?
The Son of Heaven plants himself, the officials must plant too, then the common people follow. It clearly shows who did the symbolic work and who did the actual back-breaking labor.
But regardless of who did what, the efficiency was just undeniable.
The transformation was almost instant. Within 2 or 3 days, that 1,000-mile embankment became a green, shaded willow lane.
A permanent geographical change in less than a week. All because of an imperial whim and a well-placed financial incentive.
And the test run confirmed everything. The boat set sail again. The deep shade kept the air cool, comfortable. The palace foot women were now walking effortlessly. The text describes them as jostling with charms and competing with beauties, laughing and proceeding.
The emperor's aesthetic demand was met. He must have been thrilled.
He was completely satisfied. So satisfied, in fact, that he decided to commemorate the trees with the ultimate act of imperial vanity.
What, he was going to give him an official rank or something?
He considered it, but he decided to do something even better. He bestowed upon the entire willow species his imperial surname.
You're kidding.
Not at all. From that point on, the tree was officially known as Yanglu, incorporating his name, Yang. To finalize it, he had the characters written on red silk and hung on a branch as a formal commendation, a surname, and a promotion for a tree.
It's just a perfect encapsulation of absolute power. That one moment of discomfort, the sight of a sweating woman, led to the permanent transformation of a massive piece of land.
All solved by administrative genius and a huge payout of state resources.
These texts drop us right onto the Long Zhu, the Grand Imperial Dragon boats.
Which were basically floating cities.
Absolutely. Floating cities designed for maximum spectacle and, well, minimum governance.
We're looking at how 3 really extreme narratives all playing out at the same time in this one very pressurized environment.
You've got total personal indulgence, terrifying political omens, and then this sudden, brutal administrative justice.
It's a perfect snapshot of a dynastic collapse in real time.
It really is. It shows the chaos that happens when a ruler is completely distracted. But the underlying state machinery, both the administrative side and the brutal side, is still running.
Just with no moral compass.
No compass at all. And we're going to start right where the emperor started, the pursuit of pleasure.
Okay, let's set this scene. The decadence. We have Emperor Yang, famous for his extravagance, and he's on this massive floating fleet, just living it up.
The sources say he's relaxing, drinking, he's
half drunk. He's feeling expansive, right? So he starts wandering the boats, and he's specifically looking at the women, the palace attendants, who are all lined up along the railings.
And this isn't just a casual stroll. This is a parade of human beauty and servitude, all designed for one man's fleeting entertainment.
And it's right in the middle of this casual inspection that everything just shifts. He locks his eyes on one person on the third dragon boat.
The suddenness is what's so key here. The description of this young woman, Wu Jiangxian, it's designed to stop the emperor and you, the reader, dead in your tracks.
It's so vivid. We're talking a graceful waist, snowy skin, and a moon-like face.
And the detail about her pupils being like pure lacquer, it's sensory overload.
It really is. And he is so taken aback by this that he blurts out what becomes a famous idiom: showy colors can be eaten.
Which is such a striking phrase. Then he asks, is this woman not enough to accompany wine? He's instantly elevated her from just background decoration to the centerpiece of his desire.
A perfect complement to his lifestyle. Now, what I find fascinating here is the role of Empress Xiao. You'd expect jealousy, maybe resentment.
Right, toward this new favorite.
But when she finally arrives, after her messengers couldn't even get the emperor's attention, she does the complete opposite.
She is the ultimate political pragmatist. She looks at Wu Jiangxian, confirms her beauty, which validates his choice.
Right.
But more importantly, she streamlines the whole process. She knows that in a court like this, resisting the emperor's immediate whims is it's dangerous.
So by facilitating it, she maintains her own position, her own power.
Exactly. So she advises him, summon her, get a closer look.
And this girl, Wu Jiangxian, she's only 17, from Wujin, and the texts say she's just deeply embarrassed by all this sudden, intense attention.
But the empress does not let up. The evening banquet becomes this kind of playful, almost theatrical display.
She leans right into it. She jokes that the emperor is the groom and she's the matchmaker.
She's essentially normalizing what is a massive, sudden power shift in the court right in front of everyone.
And then she pushes it.
Yeah?
She suggests Jiangxian sit right next to him for a marriage cup.
Which is a public announcement, a swift, decisive move. She's gone from attendant to royal favorite in a matter of hours.
And the emperor, who by now is, well, he's completely intoxicated.
He doesn't need to be told twice.
Not at all. He just laughs, grabs her hand, and in this, just this brazen display of impatience, he leaves.
Immediately. He leaves the grand party with her, heading straight for the rear palace.
It's a huge statement. He's showing the entire court that his personal desire, in that moment, is more important than any decorum, any duty.
And the atmosphere, we're told, is split. Some of the ladies are amused by the sheer audacity of it all,
while others are quietly concerned. And that division, that tension, it's the perfect setup for our second thread, because that giddy atmosphere is about to be physically shattered.
Precisely. The opulence of the court, this intense pursuit of pleasure, it almost always exists in stark contrast to the reality of the collapsing state.
And in this source, that collapse announces itself loudly.
With violence. The sources describe a sudden, terrifying noise while the ladies are talking.
A sound so loud it causes a mountain shake. It rocks hundreds of boats, windows fly open, masts tilt.
What was that?
Well, in these historical romances, an event like that is never an accident. It's a physical, visceral warning from the universe.
That the ruler's behavior has upset the cosmic order.
Exactly. And the person who recognizes this isn't one of the partygoers. It's the court astrologer, Yuan Zian.
And she already suspected something was wrong, right?
Yeah.
She feigned stomach pain earlier.
She did. Just to get away from all the decadence and retreat to her custom-built stargazing platform on her boat, she's looking for answers in the sky.
And she finds them. She sees ill omens. Specifically, she notes that the purple tenuity star,
which symbolizes the emperor, the dynasty's central power.
Right. She says it may not be far from disaster. For a dynasty that relies on the mandate of heaven, seeing the ruler's star dimming is the ultimate spiritual red flag.
Okay, so she's looking at cosmic omens, but other people are looking at the terrifying reality on the ground.
And that's where the conversation with Zhang Tingting, a former palace maid, becomes so chilling. She cuts right through the astrological talk and just hits them with facts.
The facts being that the emperor's constant massive imperial tours and his construction projects have completely ruined the populace.
She uses that incredibly evocative phrase, families broken and people dead.
And then the statistic that's just horrifying. Soon there will be more bandits than citizens.
Just stop and think about that. That's not just an unstable province. That means the majority of the empire's people are now actively hostile to the state, just trying to survive against it.
When your government's policies force people into banditry just to eat, you know the center cannot hold.
And the rot wasn't just economic. It was political, too.
Yuan Zian brings up that military disaster, General Yang Yichen.
Yeah, he'd had this huge success against the rebel leader Zhang Jincheng. But just before he could capitalize on it and move against another powerful rebel, Du Jian.
He stopped, recalled, sidelined.
And the reason is the most pathetic, insidious form of internal rot you can imagine. Court officials were simply jealous of his achievements.
So you have a winning general, a vital military campaign, and it's sabotaged, purely because of ego and infighting around the emperor.
It's a dynasty committing suicide. They can't defeat their external enemies because the internal political machine is too busy backbiting.
Which leads to that powerful, hopeless question from one of the ladies, Madame Dai. She asks, where will our few bones end up?
The source juxtaposes this incredible fleeting luxury with the absolute certainty of doom. They know. They know they're on a sinking ship, even if it's currently plated in gold.
It's a phenomenal pivot. From the intimacy of the new favorite, to the terror of the omens, to the concrete disaster of a collapsing economy and military betrayal.
And now, we move to the final, most violent thread, the administration of justice and the shocking fall of this corrupt official, Ma Shumo.
So the journey continues towards Suiyang, and the emperor is suddenly forced to face a very tangible failure.
Right in front of him. The river they're on is too shallow, a key engineering project, a drainage channel that was symbolically required to cut the dragon's pulse.
Yeah.
It just hasn't been dug.
This operational failure is a sign of immediate local government failure. The emperor summons an official, Ling Huda, demanding answers.
And this is where the story goes from just, typical corruption to pure depravity.
Ling Huda delivers the bombshell.
He does. He says the official in charge, Ma Shumo, wasn't just embezzling funds. He was involved in the truly horrifying act of eating children's bones.
I have to stop you there. That detail is so extreme. It's so beyond the pale. The source includes it to justify the spectacular retribution that's about to happen. It paints him as a complete monster.
A monster who has totally broken the social contract. But Ling Huda also reveals the mechanics of the political failure, which is what we're tracking.
And that's the critical insight here.
Right. He outlines the whole infrastructure of the corruption. Ma and his accomplice, Tao Allure, were extorting local silver, yes. But Ma Shumo used a fraction of that, 1,000 gold pieces, to bribe the middle gate official, Tuan Da.
And that bribe was for a very specific purpose.
It was to block Ling Huda's 3 critical investigative memorials, 3 official warnings, 3 chances for the emperor to be alerted to this monstrous corruption.
All stopped by a single payment to one man at the palace gate.
That is the political tragedy of the late Sui. It is the sound of the administrative system seizing up completely.
The checks and balances failed not because the emperor wasn't there, but because a single corrupt gatekeeper could literally stop the truth from ever getting inside.
The emperor, enraged by this, and probably by the public shame of it all, orders an immediate search of Ma Shumo's luggage.
And the evidence is just overwhelming. It proves Ling Huda wasn't exaggerating.
They find 3,000 ounces of untouched gold, a stolen white jade tablet, and then the single most symbolically damaging item possible.
The missing imperial seal.
The seal.
So why is that such a big deal?
The imperial seal is the ultimate symbol of the mandate of heaven. It's the physical proof of the dynasty's legitimacy, believed to have been passed down all the way from the Qin dynasty.
So to find that treasure, which the emperor had been searching for everywhere in the palace, in the luggage of a corrupt local official.
It is the final, tangible sign that the heavens have abandoned the Sui. Legitimacy is literally in the hands of a thief.
And that discovery shifts everything. The response goes from being an administrative cleanup to a full-blown dynastic reckoning.
And the justice is absolute.
Absolutely terrifying. Tao Lure's entire family, 87 people, are rounded up and executed immediately. Collective punishment. A brutal show of force.
But Ma Shumo's punishment is specific. It's theatrical. It connects back to that fatalism in the text.
He's cut into 3 segments, a cut at the neck, a cut at the waist. And the source explicitly says this grotesque method fulfills an earlier prophecy about 2 gold knives.
The brutality is meant to restore cosmic order, not just governmental order. The punishment has to be as shocking and predestined as the crime was depraved.
And what about the official who took the bribe, Duanda?
Duanda. Even though he's guilty of blocking those 3 critical memorials, he's actually spared execution because of past merit.
So he just demoted.
Demoted to a minor official position. It shows that even in this swift, brutal justice, there was still a slight, maybe corrupted hierarchy of crime being observed.
And the narrative wraps up with that incredibly powerful line. A single retribution ultimately meets a single retribution. Only then is it known that the net of heaven is never sparse.
The implication is that even if the emperor is drunk, distracted, and willfully blind, the cosmic forces of justice will eventually catch up.